Welcome back to the Fantasy Hockey Podcast. Monday. Yes, it is exciting. We are closer to the finish line than we are the beginning. Much closer to the finish line. It's
At
crazy.
least in our league. I think some leagues do one more week of playoffs than we do, but
well, I'm not
week
talking about.
16
I'm talking
is the last
just,
one for us.
I'm talking about just getting to the playoffs.
Oh yeah, we're way past that.
Yeah, we are right there. I mean, playoffs are right around the corner. I mean, if you're battling for a playoff spot, you got to
Trade
start
deadlines.
You got to start thinking. You got to start thinking. We'll probably do some kind of episode here geared towards like what to do depending on. Well, we might be past that actually. We might be too late for this.
I think at this point, like to kind of preface a little bit of playoff stuff, I feel like at this point, and I've actually done like I have one team that's just kind of dead in the water for various reasons, but I'm like basically auto declining any trades. Like this is when you start having to decide if you're trading with a team that's already dead in a redraft league. Like, don't do that.
Yeah.
And if you're the team that's already dead, don't accept trades. Like it's just all it's going to do is make people think there might be collusion involved, and like it's just the only way it's acceptable is if there's some sort of like last place penalty or like a consolation prize for getting like best of the worst or something. Then it's fine. But in traditional redrafts where like you're just out of the money and you're done, just be out of the money and done. Play the season out. You know, don't like not like start your guys, but don't do trades. It's just as a commissioner for a long time, it's so annoying to figure out if people are colluding or not when they make lopsided trades with like bottom teams.
And look, in the future, this is an easy rule. Don't trade with bottom table teams after a certain point. Like,
yeah,
not
if
that
it looks
hard.
like if somebody's like not gonna get back, like you can. I mean, I know I'm sure people aren't gonna like literally statistically figure out if they're eliminated, but
yeah,
if it seems like it, then
play. Yeah, I mean, be smart about it. If it seems like they can get back and they're actually making a push, especially when you see them trading away their best player for someone who's hot, you're like, okay, hold up, what are you doing here? That's when it gets weird. But I think to preface anything right now, heading in just like quickly, if you're at the top of the table, you can be a little riskier with the sense of like taking gambles on people who are maybe low but have really high ceilings. That's something you can do as top of the table. On the flip side of that, on the top of the table, you can also sit pretty. Just sit with the guys you got, and your team has gotten you to first place. So that's where it is. You do not, and this is the number one thing. I've seen so many mistakes of people who are top of the table, and they're like, oh, well, I just want to perfect my team. And so they make this massive trade and completely screw up their entire composition, and it ruins them going into the playoffs. So that's the number one thing if you're top of the table you don't want to do. Do not trade away your big name players or make these big trades solely because you think you're in this position of power where you can make a trade and who cares what I do because I'm in first. No, you have to take into account the fact that it's gotten you to where you are. That matters. You really need to be careful about screwing with composition especially in a Cats League. In a points league, it's a little different, but in a Cats League especially, you do not want to mess with that composition. If you're middle of the table, you got to decide. To me, it's never worth it, really, to gun for those top spots if you think you're going to make the playoffs and you're middle of the table. More so, I try to look at what do the top people have that I don't? Where are they going to beat me? Do they have elite goaltenders? Do they usually get a ton of hits? Like, what is it that makes them better than my team? And that's where I try to improve for the playoffs, not for the current season that's going on. And then if you're a bubble team, you got to go highest ceiling. It's better to go out there guns swinging than to miss out. That's the big thing. So if you're a bubble team, you make trades for people that are on the cusp but can win you the season, right? That can win you into the playoffs. And once you get into the playoffs, well, if they're not hot then who cares? And so that's really what you want to do going into the playoffs as a bubble team is you just got to make it. And that means taking risks on people that have really high ceilings. But in theory, like if you had been at the beginning of the draft, you're like, I wouldn't draft this guy high, but right now he's on fire. It looks like he might continue to be on fire. I'm taking the gamble. Do you agree with that?
Yeah, I mean, all those points pretty much make sense.
Yeah.
I've got two for grammar school, actually.
Okay.
Both goalies. It's Jake Ottinger. Apparently.
Ottinger. Okay.
Ottinger. I should know this, but I don't watch a whole lot of Stars games, so what are you gonna do? Who does?
Yeah.
Honestly, but and then I corrected you, but I was actually the wrong one here in Capo Kakkonen, not Kakkonen.
I don't know why you would say it was so weird to me when you said that. I was like,
I said it that way because of how many other goalies tend to go that way.
Yeah.
Like I said Sorokin and it's Sorokin. And then I was saying Samsonov, like everybody was, and it's Samsonov. It's like all of them seem to have that weird kind of like middle affect thing going on. So I just figured it would be the same deal with Kakkonen, and it's not. It's Kakkonen. So whatever.
Well, I'm proud of that one. I'm happy. I'll take it.
Yep.
So let's. Do you have any week reviews?
I don't.
Okay, so then let's move into the injury report. I mean, essentially, we talked about trades and stuff. I think that's a good segue into the week. So let's move into the injury report, and you can take us into that.
Yep. First up, Darcy Kemper, day-to-day with a lower body injury. By the way, for most of these, unless I remembered off the top of my head what the actual injury is and if there's an increased timeline, they're just coming from Roto. Oh God, it's not Roto World anymore, is it? It's like NBC Edge Sports or something. What? I don't. Man, that rebrand. Fun side story before I get more into the injury report. And actually, you don't even know this, Gamby, but we just hired somebody that was working at Roto World when they changed the name. A guy named Josh Norris, who's going to be doing content for Underdog. And he was as taken aback as basically everybody else. They were basically just told, hey, we're going to change the name. And everybody's like, okay. So, yeah, I don't know. I guess they want the NBC brand name on it. So
I didn't like it. I thought that
it's weird.
I thought their branding, their brand name at least, had so much sticky power, and so many people knew what it was that it didn't. It's weird.
I don't even know if it's. I guess it's NBC Sports Edge probably, or NBC Edge or Edge.
Something like
I don't know, man.
Something. Well,
the fact that I don't know it right now, and I've been on that. I was literally just on that site. I still don't know it. Probably not a good sign. But
they're also disbanding NBC Sports Network.
Are they?
Yeah, it's getting destroyed. I don't know what they're going to do.
That must be
now.
why the contract was available to ESPN or whatever.
Well, the thing is, the ESPN contract, it's going to be split with another network. So ESPN only has rights to half the games. There's the week review. ESPN only has half the games for the season, and they don't get all the Stanley Cups. I think they only get 2 or 3 Stanley Cups of the 5 years or whatever, or 2 of the 4 years, whatever it is. So there's going to be another network signing on, and apparently NBC is still interested, but they're just not meeting the NHL's price at the moment. So there's still space for another network, or potentially maybe ESPN to take everything, but I don't think they would if they didn't do that already. So curious to see where that goes.
Anyway, I'll start the injury report over. The point that I was making was that I'm getting my injury statuses from that. And if I have more to add to it, then I do. But there may be some details missing. Darcy Kemper, day-to-day with lower body injury. Jake DeBrusk apparently is on COVID protocol now. Tuukka Rask is day-to-day with an undisclosed injury. Jack Eichel is now out indefinitely with some neck and back stuff, vertebrae stuff. I don't know, man. At first, I thought it was trade, whatever, tinfoil hat stuff. But it seems like there's more and more reports out that there's something legit here. And man, of course, Buffalo gets shut out by a not so good defensively Pittsburgh team right after that announcement. It's going to be real rough to be a Buffalo fan, I think. Riley Sheahan is their number 1 center. Anyway,
brutal.
Okay. Yep. Speaking of brutal, Vincent Trocheck is out long-ish term with something. I don't know.
Why does this always happen?
I don't know. He was having such a good season. It's a shame.
Know. Makes me so sad.
Longish term does not mean he won't be back for the playoffs, though. It seems like he's going to, and I mean fantasy playoffs. It seems like it's not going to be the rest of the season or anything. So, Teuvo Teravainen is out with concussion symptoms. Seems like they maybe brought him back too early. Rope Hintz is, I don't know, a hockey player. I have no idea. He's doing the Grizzly thing. He is very annoying right now, to say the least. Alex Iafallo is day-to-day. Apparently he's just sick. So I guess he must have, fallen ill and tested negative or something. But anyway, he's sick. Ben Sherratt is day-to-day with a hand injury. Anders Lee is out indefinitely with lower body injury. We were actually talking about this offline just before the stream about Kiefer Bellows stepping up in that replacement spot, playing top line, top power play. Interesting. I'm not really willing to mention him as like a except in the deepest of leagues, maybe, as like a long-term ad type. But actually, you know what? If you're in a league that rosters 300 plus people, why not? Two goals in his first game, 15 minutes played, and they put him on the ice towards the end of the game, which is where Trotz was really worried about his play from a defensive standpoint. So they're trusting him more. He's interesting, but
I don't
we'll
hate
it
it in the playoffs. In a points league, I like it a lot more. Actually,
I like it. I like him in a Cats league. Actually, he's a shooter and a hitter. He's a true power forward, very similar to Anders Lee. Actually,
I will say I wouldn't be surprised if in a week from now we're saying that Kiefer Bellows is a long-term target.
Yeah,
I would not be surprised if that happens in the span of a few days.
Yeah, I think I may actually pick him up in one of the leagues that I'm in.
Same.
That rosters a ton of people, and I have him in my Dynasty League already.
Same.
Anyway, interesting for him. Really good. I mean, unfortunate for Anders Lee, but a great opportunity for Kiefer Bellows. Although, man, does he look slow next to Barzal, but who doesn't? Mark Borowiecki is week to week with an upper body injury, as is Roman Josi. Nashville might be, man, considering how deep they are defensively, they are screwed on defense right now. Jeez.
So bad. They're screwed everywhere.
Yeah. Anthony Duclair. Okay, we're done with the injuries. Anthony Duclair returned. Had a great game, actually. That top line is working again. Nathan McKinnon returned. Dylan Larkin returned. Mark Stone and John Klingberg all returned. So that's the injury report for this week.
Okay. I like that. Short and sweet. And not too many injuries. So let's move into drop candidates here. And my first one is a fun one. It's a goalie. And guess who it is? John Gibson.
Of course it is. Yeah, I got it.
Remember when you told me you thought he was just going to be average or just going to be fine this season? Nope. Look at that. I talk about John Gibson and my light goes out. That's
good.
That's how bad he is. I don't know if my light's going to stay on. Cursed. Just absolutely cursed. I mean, John Gibson just ruins all. But anyways, John Gibson, it's just not good in Anaheim. And things haven't been working for him for a while now. Things have just gotten worse. The average goal distance has gotten closer by 15%. There's a lot of things that just aren't good on that Anaheim team for John Gibson. And quite frankly, the load is just too heavy to carry for him. He can't even carry this. He's below average in his high danger save percentage. He's below average in... Actually, it's mostly his high danger save percentage. And there goes my light again. Yep, John Gibson from the dead coming to kill me. But John Gibson makes it. And that's my first one.
He was my first one as well, but I'm going to add another goalie to the mix here. Mackenzie Blackwood. He's 50% rostered at the moment. I feel like the word is out already. It's kind of a similar situation. The guy was lights out to start the season for whatever reason, and has just gotten smoked repeatedly, as has the entire team. I was watching the end of the Islanders game tonight, and I heard something that they haven't won a home game since like January 24th or something like that, that's a long time ago. And of course they lost this game too, giving the Islanders their 8th straight win or whatever it is. So bad news, sad times.
Yeah, their ex-boy Keith Kincaid though doing well on the Rangers.
Yeah, an old guy I used to play esports with back in like 2008
I forgot about that.
or so. Yeah.
What'd you play him?
Right before he went pro. What?
What'd you play with him again?
Counter-Strike.
Yeah. Was he good?
Yeah.
Oh, okay.
Pretty good.
Well, I mean, he has a good reaction.
I'm sure the reflexes worked, right?
The reflexes, the reactions. Yeah, that probably helps a little bit. You know what? I have one more. It's an interesting one, and I think you're going to heavily disagree. But I'm going to stick to the goaltender theme here, and I'm going to go Elvis Merzlikins. I mean, if you haven't been listening to us, no, not him. I have another one you're going to disagree with. But Elvis Merzlikins, I mean, we had him on unsustainably low, sustainably low 2 weeks ago, I think. And now he's firmly in drop candidates. It's bad.
Yeah.
He sucks at high danger saves this season. I don't know what's going on, but he just has one of the worst high danger save percentages I've ever seen. It's absolutely brutal. He can't stop a high danger save for his life. It really is crazy. And it's kind of wild because his average shot distance is actually pretty far away, but the average goal distance has gotten closer by about 30%. So things just aren't really working there in Columbus. Things aren't working for Elvis Merzlikins. I think you can very safely drop him in virtually any league at this point.
You said you have another drop candidate after this?
I've
do.
Got
one more. Okay. So I'm saying this watching the Vegas game, knowing that something horrible is going to happen and invalidate this immediately. But somebody we've talked about already, and I've kind of aired my grievances around the industry and this player. But Alex Tuch, left wing, right wing, 54%. Weirdly, still getting increased roster numbers. Like he's up like 30-something% over the last 3 days, and he literally hasn't scored a point in like 3 games. Anyway, they're 3 goals in, and he is not factored on any of them so far. It's just weird. Not super high on him. I think he's a fine player, but I have no idea why he's 54% roster. Well, I do know why, but he should not be 54% roster right now.
Oh boy. Okay, here we go. I do agree with that, by the way. Now, this one you're not going to agree with. And honestly, I feel like I'm going to be the only fantasy hockey pundit, if that's what we call ourselves, that says this.
Former soon. Whatever you're going to say is going to invalidate your card, I'm sure.
Kevin Fiala. Kevin.
I don't totally disagree, but I just see the ceiling, I guess, and I'm just hoping for the best with him.
I don't see the
I would
ceiling.
love for him to play with not Victor Rask. Is that all? Is that enough? Like, please.
See, that's the
I know they
issue
don't have the best centers, but literally any of the other ones.
His minutes have gotten worse and worse over the last few weeks. So if you look at his last 14 games, his average minutes are 17. If you look at his last 14 games, his average minutes are about 16 and a half. You look at his last 4 games, and he's down to 15 and a half. And this last game, he played about 14 something. I'm done holding out for Kevin Fiala. I know that you and a lot of other people are like, oh, but look, his shooting percentage is low. And look, he still shoots, and he still gets power play time. And fine. He's not doing anything with any of that. He's not doing anything. There's no point anymore holding on to Kevin Fiala. It doesn't matter. If you're top of the table, why are you holding on to Kevin Fiala? The ceiling's not there, in my opinion.
I think the ceiling is there.
Well, what's his ceiling, though? I mean, if you
twice as many points as he has right now, I think is his ceiling.
That's insane to me. No way.
Why?
No way.
His IPP's in line, and his on-ice shooting is about half of what it should be.
Yeah, last season.
That's where I'm getting that from.
Last season,
you can't get assists.
Everything. Last season, with everything the same and the normal shooting percentage, on-ice shooting percentage, he was on a 69-point pace. So how would it be double a 41-point pace? I don't see him getting to 80 points. I see him as a
double-ish. I didn't mean strictly double, but I could see him being a 70-point pace. That's a good ceiling for him.
I think he's a 55, 60-point pace at best. I just don't see him. Best. I don't see him getting there. I don't think the team is built in such a way that it allows Kevin Fiala to just explode. If I had to choose one person to explode on that team,
put him with Kaprizov.
Yeah, but that's not going to happen. And they haven't done that.
At all.
They
did before. Yeah. It could definitely happen. But I mean, he's working so well with Zuccarello, they probably won't. But
didn't stick. I just don't see it. I don't see the reason to hold. I mean, this could come back and bite me so hard, and that's fine. And I see how he's unsustainably low. But at the same time, I'm like, it's been 14 games now of 7% on-ice shooting. Something's not working for him. And on top of that, he's getting a lot of power play percentage. It's not like he's not getting power play time, but he's just not factoring in on any power play points. The power play just runs differently now, and it doesn't run through Kevin Fiala.
It sucks, I think, but for whatever that's worth.
Sure, it sucks as well, but it doesn't run through Kevin Fiala. Right? He's not getting points. He got 23. He was on a 23 power play point pace last season. I just don't. I just don't see it.
It's not horrible.
I just can't advocate to hold on to Kevin Fiala anymore. I don't think it's prudent.
But it depends on your situation. The more desperate I am, the less likely I am to hold on to him. If I'm top of the table, like whatever, I'll roll it into the playoffs.
Especially a points league, no way. I can't advocate to hold Kevin Fiala anymore. There's better ceiling guys.
Who cares?
Well, but think about it this way: like, if for every week you hold Kevin Fiala, you're missing out on streamers. A streamer is going to outperform.
The table, like you're going to make playoffs, so
doesn't matter. What if one of those streamers
then you don't
ends
need
up,
streamers?
What if one of those streamers?
I
Ends up being
don't
a
stream that
hold?
much if I'm top of the table. There's no point. What am I going to try to just crush all my opponents for no reason when I'm already going to make the playoffs? It's just like.
But that's kind of So my goal when I'm top of the table, though, with a guy like Kevin Fiala, is I'm streaming out with the hope of finding a gem. Sure, like it can also stay a streamer spot.
Okay, if I thought he was, if I thought there was somebody that I really thought could outperform him long term, then I would. But I don't know.
What about
I would rather. I feel like his ceiling is about as high as anybody else I could think.
I mean, I can think of so many people I'd rather have than him. I'd rather have Nick
depends
Ritchie
on who's
during
available,
his stretch.
of course, but
I'd rather have Ricardo Raquel. I'd rather have Iafallo or Kempe during their run. Like, there's all
I would
these
not rather
guys
have Kempe or Iafallo than him.
during their streak. Sure,
but why? I know their streak's going to end. LA is not great.
To me, it's just not. I'm not. What I'm trying to say is not necessarily if you're top of the table, just drop him. But what I'm saying is, also don't hold him for the sake of not picking up somebody else. You know, like if you see someone you like that's good, don't be holding on to Kevin Fiala just for this hope that he turns it around and figures out how people putting the puck around him or whatever.
I will admit I'm less like I'm not as steadfast on him as I was. That said, like it took him till the second half of last season to do stuff. I don't know that that's like something you can really attribute to a player. Like be like, oh, he always starts in the second half. I'm not going to say that. Like he could easily just not be good for the rest of the season. But,
I do think as well, though, that one big difference to that is that this year there's Kaprizov in front of him. And sure, yes, he can play with Kaprizov, but Kaprizov is still the man.
Yeah, but Kaprizov is up and down, too. He's just super up right now.
I mean, he's on the up.
Oh, yeah. I mean, he has a hat trick in his last game. I don't know what he's doing.
But the thing is that's not so true, though. I mean, sure, he's had... Over the last 14 games, he has 14 points. He's point per game last 14, and over his last 8, 7, over his last 4, 4. Like, he's actually been point per game very consistently, not just all of a sudden exploding.
Yeah, I mean, all of a sudden in the last month.
Yeah, but that's my point.
I mean, to be fair, I haven't looked too deep into him, but yeah, he's been good.
Yeah.
But he comes in bunches. You know, he's got a hat trick.
Yeah, his shooting percentage in general is high right now, but still.
I put him on unassessed low because he only had one game in his last 4 where he got points. He just happened to get 2 of them, and then he got a hat trick. It's like, okay.
It's pretty crazy how many... He actually doesn't get very many secondary assists. He probably deserves a few more secondary assists than he gets, to be honest. Okay, anyways, that is enough of drop candidates. That is a lot. Let's move on to...
I got to take the first one here.
Long-term targets,
it's relevant.
Yep.
Matt Zuccarello.
Yeah.
Right wing, 37%. I was kind of like up and down on how much I liked him. In the same like one deep redraft league that I have him. I picked him up as soon as he came off injury, and obviously had no reason to drop him. But now with his shot increase and its minutes increase, and considering how well he's playing with Kaprizov, it's like it makes sense to be adding him in. I can't believe we're looking at Alex Tuch blow up to 54% roster ability, and then we're looking at Zuccarello, who's been good for a while now, sitting at 37. I don't understand.
It's weird.
But yeah, I think he's a good long-term look.
I do like that a lot. And I think it's definitely one as well, though, that like the leash does need to be a little bit short because
I mean
things can change so much there. Even though he's a long-term. I agree he's a long-term as long as, all of this sticks. This one is weird, and honestly, I don't know if he's more of a long-term or a short-term. I'm going to put him on long-term for now, just because he has been killing it for a bit. I didn't expect to put this here. Kasperi Kapanen on the Pittsburgh Penguins. I could very much see him becoming a short-term target and just eventually dropping. But right now, it's kind of hard to ignore him as a long-term option. He is absolutely killing it. I mean, the shooting percentage is ridiculous. Don't expect that to continue. His on-ice shooting percentage has also been kind of insane, but I mean, he also is on a good line. I don't know what to tell you. So I don't know how long to believe in this for, but for now, sure. I believe in Crosby. That's all I have to say. At the end of the day, I believe in Sid.
Fair enough. My next one is Shane Gostisbehere. This is exciting, isn't it?
I almost put him too. I thought about it.
13%. I mean, now's the time. That door is going to close quickly.
Oh, yeah.
Playing well on top line, shooting like crazy. I mean, for him, I expect regression from what we're seeing so far, but If he can be the top power play defenseman that they needed him to be this whole time, that is good news, both for the team and for him.
Yeah.
I assume he's going to fly past 13% rostered. So if you're looking for a power play defenseman that shoots, now's the time to take a stab. Otherwise, the door's going to shut pretty quick.
Oh, yeah. I'm thinking of grabbing him as soon as I can. I don't think he's going to last very long. And one reason for that, too, just off the top of my head, name value, right? You think of who people think of. If they see that Shane Gosper is playing well again, everyone remembers that year, that Ghost Bear year. And so what do people do? They rush to the wire, pick him up immediately. And so you're going to have to be quick if you want to be able to grab some Shane Gostisbehere shares. So definitely need to run to that one. But I do like that a lot. His minutes have jumped like crazy. Am a little bit suspect of his shooting percentage, but he's not that on the season. Sure. It's not that far off actually from what he did last season. So there's definitely something there. Okay, my next one here is going to be Timo Meier. He did just come back from injury. His minutes are not that great. They're 15, about like 16-ish minutes, somewhere around there. And he's a tough one. The good news is that he is shooting a lot recently, which is great. So his shot pace is way up. That's a good thing. His IPP is very high this season, which is great to see. It means he factors into a lot, and the Sharks are starting to put the puck into the back of the net a little bit more, which means he just kind of gets in on more points while against Anaheim, and while giving you some decent hit pace as well. So to me, Timo Meier is a good kind of categories option, a decent point one to take. He's a decent points option to take a gamble on if you have points for shots and hits. But I also would have a short leash with him. But I do like him a lot solely for that for the shots option especially.
All right, my last one is a Bangers League option. Oh, man. Curtis Gabriel. Right wing, not owned at all, 0%. He's in the middle of his 5th game so far playing for the Sharks. I don't know if... Let me take a quick look to see if he's done anything in this game. I imagine he hasn't because it kind of just started. No, he hasn't. But he has 3 fights in 4 games so far. And something like 18 hits in 4 games.
Just insanity.
So he was a player that I kind of had my eye on in previous seasons because anytime he plays, he gets PIMs. He's one of those guys that if it's a Saturday or Sunday and you're trailing in PIMs and he is like on roster to play, you're guaranteed just about that. He had the highest PIM per game played of any player that played any significant amount of games a couple of years back when he was on Jersey. Not a lot of options in San Jose. So he's factored into 5 games in a row now, which is definitely not really expected. And he fights big name players. He fought Ryan Reeves, lost it, but
it's Ryan Reeves. I mean, I would expect to lose against Ryan Reeves.
He did. If you watch the fight, he was actually he stood his ground and then got caught. That's that's what happens. And he fought Kyle Clifford. He's fighting big dudes. Big dudes. Trying to be an electric player for their team and pump the guys up. And he fought Delorier because, of course, he did. But I don't know if he's going to fight again in this back-to-back with the Ducks. They're 9 minutes into the game right now, recording this on Saturday night. But I wouldn't be surprised. And he's like a known quantity. If you pick him up, you're going to get PIMs, you're going to get hits. You're not going to get anything else. So he's definitely he's a long-term target, but he's not long-term in the way that you'd grab him and hold him forever. He's more long-term that you'll repeatedly see yourself go back to this player at the end of weeks when you're trailing in hits or PIMs or something.
I like that. It's very out of left field, and you've said Curtis Gabriel's name to me so many times.
Most people, if they know who he is, they heard him from here like 2 years ago.
Yeah, because you mentioned him and you grabbed him in Dynasty and loved him and said, "Oh, he looks like a fighter," and look at him now. My last one here, I want to just give a quick shout out to Martin Necas. That's what it is. Necas. Just quick shout out to him. Do like him still. Good option. He has kind of come down a little bit to earth, but I do still like him. My real suggestion, though, is Jonas Brodin. Defenseman of the Wild, kind of flying under the radar a little bit. Over his last 12 games, he's on a 48-point pace. Of course, a ridiculous shooting percentage, so not to be expected that continues, but still getting some points on the assist front. And more than anything, the thing that's most interesting is his block pace. So if you're in a blocks league, he gives you a lot of coverage because he gives you a ton of blocks, and now he's getting points. And if he's not getting points, well, at least he's getting you elite blocks. I mean, right now he's on over the last 12 games, he's on a 212 block pace, which is pretty dang good. That's more than 2 a game. So, and that's what I like to look at for blocks. Now, I am trying to punt block, or I'm thinking about punting blocks, so I have him, but I don't know if I'm going to keep him. But if you're in a blocks league, take a look at Jonas Brodin.
Yep. Actually, I have him in a couple of leagues.
Yeah, I'm a big fan of him. I like him. Okay, let's move into the week preview. Teams with 2 or less games are going to be Toronto, Ottawa, and Columbus. So if you have, if you've been holding the Tim Stützles or the Drake Bathersons and stuff, there's probably a good chance you're not going to want to hold on to them. And, if you have those Austin Matthews and stuff, you probably want to drop them too. They're not that good. Teams that play 3 or more off nights are going to be the Vegas Golden Knights and the Los Angeles Kings. And then a shout out to Tampa Bay and Pittsburgh, who have 2 off nights, but 5 total games overall. And teams with good matchups that I kind of handpicked are going to be Pittsburgh, who have 3 Devils games and 2 Boston games. The Vegas Golden Knights, who play the San Jose Sharks and the Los Angeles Kings twice. And I think St. Louis also has that same schedule, but St. Louis, I don't know who they are anymore. And then there's Dallas.
Nobody does.
2 Detroit games, 1 Nashville game, 1 Tampa game. The Detroit and the Nashville game is more so what interests me. And then you have Vancouver, who has 2 Ottawa games, 2 Montreal games, 2 teams that let in a lot of goals at the moment. That's a good matchup for them. So my first short-term target is going to be Alex Killorn because of those 5 Tampa Bay games, and he's been playing pretty well, has a left wing, right wing. He's almost always, when I see Tampa have a good schedule, he's pretty much my first go-to of person to pick up.
Yep. I just have like the flurry of Kings that are always kind of on this show. I follow Kempe, Carter kind of in any order, really. And then if you like weird, unsustainable players, Athanasiou also is a possibility, I guess. But yeah, Kings guys.
Okay. My next one here, actually someone who was on here last week, Chandler Stevenson from the Vegas Golden Knights. And actually has been good as of late. Still getting those 17, 18-minute games. Not bad for someone who you're picking up short-term target, center right wing.
He's picked a couple up in the game so far tonight, too.
Yeah, and he's that schedule of San Jose and Los Angeles. I like that quite a bit. So Chandler Stevenson is up there as one of my favorites.
Yep. My next one, I actually had Stevenson and Killorn as well, is Rasmus Andersson.
Ooh,
defense 38%. Decent matchups. Been playing okay lately. He's called again, but definitely getting majority of power play time and has been streaky. So he's an option if you're looking for a power play defenseman.
Yeah. So, and then with Tampa Bay and Pittsburgh having those 2 off nights and 5 total games, they do have 2 back-to-backs, which means we're going to see Curtis McElhinney and we're going to see Casey DeSmith get 2 games. So if you're in a league that needs goaltenders, Casey DeSmith and Curtis McElhinney are pretty good options, especially Casey DeSmith. Although Casey DeSmith gets 1 back-to-back Devils game and 1 back-to-back Boston game, so I definitely target the Devils game, not the Boston game. But Curtis McElhinney does get 2 pretty good matchups, so I wouldn't be afraid of kind of picking up McElhinney in those games.
Yeah, I have one more flame also. Monday is not an off night, but it's not terrible either. So there's whatever. My last one, and this is mostly to target really deep leagues, is Brett Ritchie. Right wing, 0% owned, but he's playing with Gaudreau and Monahan. He gets like very little minutes, but he hits a lot, and he's been getting assists here and there. So this would be like a really desperation deep league where you just have a good, you get a good amount of value from their schedule.
Yeah.
But not someone I would see realistically being picked up in the majority of leagues.
Makes sense. Wow. Recommending Flames, but not recommending Mikael Backlund. Weird world.
Yeah, it could, but it felt like he's been playing too well lately. I gotta highlight people that people don't know.
Well, there you go. That is the week preview. Best of luck. Be sure to hit us up with any questions on Twitter. And other than that, we'll catch you for Unsustainable Wednesdays. Thank you for listening.
Yep. Thanks for listening.